agreeing to disagree. Oh, I just wanted to come on and say, yesterday, I think it was yesterday, there was somebody in this group that was kind of trolling through the posts and then attacking the homeschool lifestyle. And I kept asking for this person to enter the conversation diplomatically. It's like, look, if you have something that you disagree with, we're more than willing to talk about it. And I really went back and forth about this because my first impulse was to just simply ban the guy from the page. And then I thought, well, what kind of an example would that be if we can't have a conversation with people that we don't agree with? And he just never responded. Now, number one, my target audience is homeschool moms. So although dads are completely and totally welcome on this page, my heart is for the moms that are ministering to and surrounded by their kids. So I kept trying to reach out to this gentleman to say, hey, if you have thoughts that you want to express, we would love to talk about it. And he just kept getting nastier and nastier. And so I wanted to let you know that in today's society, our kids need to know that it's okay to not agree with people around us. In fact, it's necessary that we are still loving and kind and compassionate, that we're still able to listen, that we're able to hear where somebody is coming from. I was someone that was tricked into homeschooling. I was completely and totally against homeschooling at the beginning. I thought, I don't want to homeschool because I don't want my kids to be weird. Turns out my kids were destined to be weird because they are my children. But at the end of the day, after 25 years of homeschooling, 5 kids, completely different, homeschooling in all the ways that you can, from the public school, online, charter schools, boxed curriculums, writing your own curriculums, I've come to realize from a place of humility that homeschooling is not for everyone. It's just not. And it may not be for every one of your children. It just might not be, and that's okay. And so we can have people in our life that are completely and just 180 degrees different than the way that we feel about homeschooling. And it's so important that we don't shake our fingers and turn our nose up and say, well, my way is better than your way. And if you don't agree with me, then you can't hang out with me in life or even online. And yet, this is a safe place. This is a better way to homeschool because we embrace what's the best thing for each of our kids, for our families. And my heart is to share encouragement, to share ideas, to share resources that help you, someone that is either homeschooling or wants to homeschooling, to do that with grace and dignity, right? To know that although today may be extremely challenging, 10 years from now, you'll look back if you stay the course and you'll be like, wow, that was worth it. That was worth the tears. That was worth the pain. That was worth the struggle. And there's really no place for people inside this group that are like, homeschool? Why would you homeschool? That's stupid. I think that's dumb, right? So do we want to hear from people that have differing opinions, differing perspectives? Absolutely. Should we be kind? Absolutely. I never want the comments or the threads on this page to turn into mud throwing or egging people. You know, that hit and run texting or typing where we're like, well, let me tell you everything that I think about this, or I think you're stupid. Not on this page. Know that you can tag me, just the @ a better way to homeschool, if you don't think that I'm seeing something that's going on, and I will try to nip it in the bud. But if people are just going to be nasty, see ya. They can just go. There are thousands of places on the internet for them to hang out and to share their opinions. I want this place to be a safe page for homeschool. for you, for a mom that prioritizes educating her kids at home, for doing the best that you know how, knowing that today you might make a mistake, that you may even be facing judgment and scrutiny from public opinion, right? I mean, my youngest kid didn't read till he was 10. That snarky twit that was on our page yesterday, forgive me, but he would have just eaten me up and down and thought, wow, I'm just a lousy parent. How dare I try to educate my son if I can't even teach him to read? And yet, this is the same child that is now halfway through his associate's degree in college, while he's completing high school, reads books that are this thick over and over and over and over again, absorbing language. He's the one that wants to be a surgeon, maybe, but definitely a professional rower, and is currently being sought after in the whole recruitment process. You know, the naysayers and the people that are against homeschooling in general, could never look at my son, we'll take him as an example, and see that it was the right decision to homeschool him. Oh my gosh, was it the right decision to homeschool him? He didn't have to cry because he didn't know how to read. He didn't have to be teased because he didn't know how to read. He didn't have to freak out because I was going to strap him to a chair. That child would have died in a classroom. He can't sit still. He just can't. We need the bouncy balls and the bicycles and the trampolines and the rowboats and all the things to keep him focused. And you know what? At the end of the day, it totally worked out. He's 17. He just turned 17. He's potty trained. He cleans up after himself. He can read. He can write. He's done math. He's going into calculus this year. He is basically on his track to be a collegiate rower. He's an author. He's a master painter and artist and photographer. He's like the most amazing kid. All that would have been squished and squelched in the classroom. And so this is not a toot Becky's kids horn, but this is to let you know that there are gonna be people that are against your decision to homeschool your kids. It's okay, so what? My own family, not my husband, not my kids, but I have family members that were against us homeschooling. My dad even looked at me and said, Becky, being a full-time mom is a full-time job. Being a stay-at-home wife is a full-time job. What makes you think you can also be a full-time teacher? You can't be successful. You just can't. You can't do all the things. And he was right. I can't be successful at all the things, on all the days, at all the time. And neither can you, and that's okay. At the end of the day, at the end of the journey, you will see the fruit of your labor. You will see that when you invest your heart into your kids, that they have time to flourish, they have time to grow, and you will get to see them blossom into the types of people that they are destined to be. You know, all 5 of my kids were delayed readers, all 5 of them. All 5 of them couldn't take tests to save their life. Oh my goodness. If you gave them a standardized test, they would create patterns all over the paper. They didn't even read the questions. It was ridiculous. I had kids that couldn't follow directions, kids that couldn't remember what was next, kids that never cleaned up after themselves because they just couldn't handle. And yet, they're all now completely and totally successful. We made it, right? They've all made it through college. Well, with the exception of those that still need to finish their bachelor's degrees, but they're young. They're the kind of people that when people first hear you homeschool, they're like, oh, you homeschool. And then they talk to our kids and they're like, wow, how did you do that? It's like, well, we homeschooled and we sewed into their character and we prioritized attitude and heart and community and family. And yes, academics are a piece of the pie, but they're not the whole pie. There's so much more that's more important than page 17 in any book that you have sitting at your kitchen table. So this is a safe space. We have space on this page for people that don't understand homeschooling, that are looking over the fence. They're peeking over the fence and they're like, wait, I like the fruit on your tree. How did you raise your kids to be respectful and kind? How is it that your kids don't fall apart when things don't go their way? How is it that your kids have successfully made it through school and they still love to learn? So they're peeking over the fence going, is it possible? Could I educate my kids? Could I do it? It's overwhelming. Remember that first year, first 3 years, completely and totally overwhelming. So we have room out here for people that don't understand, that people that are new. What we don't have room out here for is jerks. Can I just get a thumbs up? Can I get a heart? Can I get an amen? There's no jerks allowed. No jerks allowed in my house, no jerks allowed in my life, and no jerks allowed in this page. You can't be mean. You can't be cruel. You can't be unkind. We don't have to agree. We just don't. How boring would it be if every single one of us believed exactly the same thing? It's like, no, that's dumb. We don't need to believe exactly the same thing. In fact, we have so much to learn from each other, especially if we have differing views, differing ideas, differing backgrounds. We can glean wisdom. We should do this because it worked. We should not do that because, wow, that's just terrible. Does that make sense? So I just want to reaffirm to you that there was drama behind the scenes. The guy was a twit in the comments, and I just can't stand for it. It's just not, there's just no need for it, right? We can agree to disagree and still be kind. Some of my best friends in my life have not shared the same views on things, and that's okay. It makes it more interesting. Do we love them still? Of course we do. So in the whole grand scheme of things, I wrote up a big old thing and, you know, like, look, why would I possibly send my kids to school? Because they would die, all that stuff. I just want you to know that I didn't let it go on because I was being careless. I let it go on a little bit because I was trying to minister to this person that, hey, you don't have to agree with me in order to be on this page. If there's stuff here for you, then by all means hang out. But if there isn't, I mean, shoot, why would you hang out on a page all about cats if you hate cats? Why would you hang out on a homeschool page if you're completely against homeschool? Unless maybe it's because you want to tear down those homeschoolers. We gave him the boot, and I just want you to know that he should be completely gone from the page. And if I see yucky, snarky people, I will give them a chance, because God gave me a chance when I was a jerk. So we will give them a chance. But if you're rude, if you're obnoxious, if you're unkind and unteachable, unyieldable, and unmerciful, I'm sorry, go find some other place to hang out on the internet. There are places for everybody out there. So much so, that's why I gave this guy a second chance. Because one of the things that I think is wrong, and I'll wrap up with this, one of the things that I think is wrong with this world, oh, and I want to give you a copy of my book for free, so look for the link in a second. One of the things that I think is wrong with this world is that we have become really good at stepping on our little square of, ooh, I belong here. I like the color green, I like butterflies, I like flowers, I like to teach boys, I like read alouds, and I like sport cars. So I'm gonna stand on my little square, and you're not allowed here unless you like those things too. Okay, it's ridiculous. We've become so segregated and so particular about hanging out with people that are just like us, that there's no room for people that aren't just like us. And again, I have to say that's just super boring. And it's not the way that it's meant to be. In my house works because my husband is brilliant, and he knows all the logical stuff and the financial stuff and the computer stuff. And me, I'm all about the heart, and he's a lover of people too, but I'm about the heart of the kids and what's going on and the academics and how do we get the kids to fall in love with learning and to love reading and to love nature and all the things. And so our house works brilliantly because my father used to say, as long as we don't thread the same needle, we're good, right? And life is like that too. We need people around us that aren't doing exactly the same thing, because that's how we learn. It's how we grow. and it's how we can be effective in this world. So that's why I didn't kick the dude out at first. I want this place to be a safe place for people that are peeking over the fence and are taking a look at homeschool. Because again, I was against homeschool myself. I thought it was dumb. I thought there was no way that I could teach my kids because I wasn't a certified teacher. And how dare I even consider that I would be qualified enough to educate my kids? How dare I? And I didn't want my kids to be weird and isolated and unsocialized. My husband said, just try it for 1 year. At the end of the year, if you hate it, I promise we will do something different. As 25 years ago. The second I saw the light bulb come on in my kids' eyes when I was trying to teach them something, and I went, why would I not want to be there when they're learning and discovering things? Why wouldn't I want to be there sharing the experience and the adventure of learning? Why wouldn't I want to do that? You know, all the bumps and stuff leveled out over the years. It takes time, right? It takes a lot of time, takes a lot out of our lives. But so anyway, that's why I gave the dude a chance, because I was against homeschooling. And I thought, well, if you're teachable and if you want to have a conversation, let's have a conversation. So anyway, that's it. I wanted to let you know why it took me a bit to kick him off the page, because he was a twit. He needed to go, and that's okay. He can be a twit. I bet you there's a Facebook page, Twits Are Us, and he can hang out there all he wants. Sorry, Lord. I really pray the best for that gentleman. He just doesn't belong on our page. So anyway, give me 5 minutes. Let me put a link to my book so that you can get it for free, the PDF version. And I think that's it. Go. Have fun. If you have questions, please know that my heart is to help you. Please know that when you read my book and you get to the back and it's like, hey, if you like this, reach out. Please know that I mean it. Reach out to me. I love talking to you guys. And I think that's it. Have a wonderful day. I love you all, and I will circle back when I can. Bye.